Well, look, the Israelis have not concluded what they're going to do in terms of a strike. That's under discussion. I think if I were in their shoes, I'd be thinking about other alternatives than striking oil fields.
President Joe Biden in the last hour making his first ever surprise appearance at a White House briefing. Oil prices, which had been running up over the past 24 hours, pared their gains after he said if he were in charge, he would consider something different than hitting the Iranian oil fields. Crude this week has posted gains of 10%. That all really began yesterday when Biden said the U.S. is, quote, discussing whether it would support Israeli strikes on Iran's oil facilities in retaliation to Tehran's missile attack on Israel back on Tuesday. Perhaps that's why there are reports that a number of oil tankers clearing the waters around Iran's Karg oil terminal situated 15 miles off its northwestern coast. Experts believe that area could be a top target if Israel were to decide to attack Iran's oil infrastructure. That area handles more than 90% of the country's global crude oil exports. The elevated tension between Iran and Israel and the wider conflict in Gaza and Lebanon is something the world, at least many believe, could do without. We have a billionaire who has strived for Middle East peace. Dan Lubetsky is the man behind the famous Kind snacks. He's here in a Fox Business exclusive. Daniel, you as a Mexican-American Jew have worked to promote peace in the Middle East through economic strength and through bridges of business. Does all that's happening right now put that on ice for an extended period of time? Some people believe there's very little hope.
Well, Liz, if you may recall that there was an impending deal between Israel and Saudi Arabia that the Islamic Republic regime that's repressing the people of Iran sought to derail through the Hamas attacks and the massacre that happened on October 7th. So, yeah, it very much sets us back many, many, many years. I think ultimately economic cooperation is a piece of the solution, but it cannot come without also empowering moderate voices across the region and neutralizing or derailing the spoilers, the terrorists that are going to try to prevent people from working together and from fulfilling the potential of the region by literally trying to prevent peace from blossoming because they are intent on trying to destroy Israel and to try to destroy America. And, you know, the Ayatollah has said it in his own words, and I think we should take him seriously.
Yeah, destroy our way of life. And I think that's just a fact. You go back to September 11th of 2001, and it was basically confirmed that many of the terrorists who were planning this said, we should hit them downtown on Wall Street because that is the heart of their society. That is, you know, sort of that symbol of business and advancement when it comes to a capitalist and free society. Israel, of course, is known as the startup nation. So how do you bypass or work around terrorist groups who just want to destroy that kind of lifestyle and at least send the message that there is a better way here for some who are thinking about joining terrorist groups?
I mean, I think you're completely right, Liz, that their goal, they know exactly what they're trying. They're trying to sow division. And both 9/11 and October 7 were designed to turn us into us versus them and to try to rearrange the chairs and rather than put together all the builders to stand up against extremism and to seize back the agenda for conflict resolution, to try to turn us into rigid ideologies of left versus right, Muslim versus Jew, Islamist versus this, Israel versus Palestine. But those are all false frameworks. The right frameworks are people that want to unite, to work together, to build bridges, to bring light to the world, versus extremists that use violence to divide, demolish, and diminish. And you're right, we need to demonstrate that we can work together. For 20 plus years, I've helped build a movement called One Voice, where Israelis and Palestinians and people across the world are trying to amplify the voice of citizens that want to seize back the agenda for conflict resolution and away from extremists. I also have done a lot of work through a company that I founded called Peaceworks to get Israelis, Palestinians, Jordanians, Egyptians, Turks to trade with one another, use the force of business to cement relations,
Fantastic.
shatter stereotypes. And I think ultimately, humanizing one another, breaking bread together will be a very important part of the solution. But that my job is relatively easier when the spoilers are not there to destroy us all. And we need to understand that sometimes you do need others to take the steps necessary to not permit them to destroy our way of life.
Well, don't give up. Don't give up. It's really so important. Daniel, before we go, congratulations. You are the newest shark on Shark Tank. Can you give us a little window into what you will be looking for? I mean, Damon John, who is a good buddy of the show, he invested in Bombas socks. Those became a huge deal. Barbara Corcoran invested
I'm wearing
into
those socks right now.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me what you'll be looking for when people present on the show.
Yeah, Damon is a lot of fun, and every shark there is I just love working with them. I'm very intellectually stimulated by them. For me, it's my opportunity to give back. I love the entrepreneurs. They demonstrate every day that the American dream is alive and well, and that if you work hard enough and are able to stay greedy and witty, you can really overcome almost anything and build some incredible solutions. These incredibly creative entrepreneurs show up every day before the tank. And what I look for above all is just good people that I want to give a hand to, because entrepreneurs are going to have, ups and bottoms. And when they're down there in the trenches and you need to help them, you want to help the good guys. So for me, it's integrity above all, introspection, an entrepreneur that can grow from their mistakes and that's ready to pivot, to learn. And then just fun ideas that actually are solving problems for people.
Okay. Well, you would know, you were one of those entrepreneurs who, and you've been on my podcast where you said you almost gave up on Kind bars. And had you done that, you would not be a billionaire today because it finally worked. Great to see you, Daniel. Thank you so much.